Okay, so we are back with the second episode of the live podcast recording of Pennies to Pounds. So can we make some noise for it, please? Thank you. Good. So what we're going to do for this one is it's going to be kind of a very chill Q&A. So if you do have any finance questions, don't be shy, and I'll come around with the mic as well, but I'll hand over to Kia.
Thank you so much. So again, welcome back to the Pennies to Pounds podcast with your host, Kay, and this is the podcast where we aim to dispel myths, simplify difficult financial jargon, and rectify your own personal problems. Now, for those of you who haven't listened before, I have episodes called Penny Problems, and this is the episode where I read out your questions and I try my best to give you the best kind of guidance that I can. So those of you who are listening back, we are live at the TATE Britain, and everyone who signed up to come today, they're making their vision boards, and some of you put in some of your questions. So I've got some of them in front of me, and I'm going to try my best to help you guys out. So the first question is, how do I manage my money well enough to travel for holidays, especially with savings and all other important expenses? So if you follow me on social media, I made a tweet about 2 months ago, basically saying that last year I managed to go on 5 holidays whilst working part-time, and I paid for it all myself. There was no kind of finance, there was no anything, I paid for it all myself, and everyone's been begging me to drop the kind of gems, and I will, but I'm going to give you guys a little taster here. I'm going to give you guys a few gems here, because I've been making everyone wait, but you guys are lucky today, I'll give you a few gems. So the first way, so to give you some context, the 5 holidays I went on, I went to Barcelona, Milan, Prague, Hong Kong, and Cyprus. Those are the 5 holidays I went on. And they're quite big holidays. Hong Kong was the biggest. That cost me a lot of money, but it was well worth it. But to give you some little gems, there are a few apps which can really, really help you find some discounted holidays. The first one is called Hitlist, and that's how I went to Barcelona. Hitlist. That's how I went to Barcelona and Prague. So I went to Prague for £69 return, so there and back, £69 flights, and I went to Barcelona for £70, there and back. But that app is amazing. It shows you holidays leaving this current weekend, if you want to plan ahead for like a month or two. Whatever you want to do, Hitlist is incredible. I found some incredible holidays on there. Even Hong Kong, I could have booked it through there, but at the time I wanted to go, so my dad's birthday, I couldn't do it through there. But if you really want to go far-flung to the US, if you want to stay local in Europe, whatever you want to do, Hitlist is your go-to, especially as a student. It's really, really amazing app. There's another one. Now I've got to try and find it on my phone. I have them all stored away. There's one called, give me 1 second. Where is it in my phone? I have so many of these apps. Do you know, whilst I'm looking for that, another way that I save money as well on my holidays is I use Cashback. So I don't know if you guys have heard of Cashback before. Anyone, put your hand up if you've used Cashback before, online. A couple people. So for those of you who don't know, Cashback is essentially free money on your purchases. When you buy something, you get free money back. You don't pay anything. It's the retailer who pays to list on these websites. You don't pay anything. So when I was booking these holidays, if I was booking flights, if I was booking hotels, I'd always go through a Cashback site first. So the main one is called Quidco. I'd log into Quidco, you sign up, free to sign up, log in there, and I'd get like 10% back on my hotel purchase. So if my hotel cost me £200, I'm getting £20 back, so I only spent £180. Whatever I wanted to book, if I wanted to drive there, I need airport parking. I remember I did airport parking the other day, actually, and I got something like 34% back. It's just all kinds of money back for free, for doing nothing much. So if you're traveling and you know you're going to spend through, I don't know, EasyJet, whatever it is, go through Quidco first and have a look and see if there's any kinds of cashback you can get there. There's another site called Top Cashback, which is also free as well. They both do similar things, so have a look through there. I found another app. The other app is called Flights. Very simple, Flights. Does a similar thing as Hitlist. It will scan through all the flights and find you the best deal for wherever you're going, for the date, how many passengers you want to go on. And that's how I managed to go on all these holidays, incredible holidays, on my part-time salary. Because I was still at university, still studying full-time, but I still managed to go on holiday. So that's how I'm going to answer that one. Hopefully that was somewhat helpful. The next question. The next question is, as a YouTuber with under 1,000 subscribers, what's the easiest way to make money just by making videos? YouTubers need to have 1,000 subscribers and 10,000 in order to start having adverts on your videos. So that's quite simple. That's quite easy in my opinion. You need to pick a niche because all these brands nowadays, they love micro-influencers. And a micro-influencer is someone who, in layman's terms, they need to have under 100,000 subscribers, followers, whatever it is. So all these brands are looking for micro-influencers. So if you specialize in something, I know one girl, she specializes in, for example, if you love vegan eating, and that's what you do, you create vegan videos and recipes, there'll be brands who reach out to you and pay you to make videos. Even if you only have 100 subscribers, 500 subscribers, they'll pay you to make videos. So it's not necessarily about the audience. The audience, I think, is more important if you're doing something a bit more generic. If you're doing beauty in general, if you're doing hair in general, then maybe the audience, the bigger the audience you have, the easier it is for brands to approach you. If you're on a niche topic, so for example, if you take me as finance, there's not a lot of people who do finance like me. So even if I went onto YouTube and only had 50 of you sign up, but I had loads of views, even if I didn't have a lot of views, there'll be brands who reach out to me purely because I'm in a niche sector. There's not many people in that sector. So you always need, if you want to make money off YouTube, figure out a niche. That can be anything at all. But figure out your niche and hone down on that, and I promise you, brands will find you. It's not all about, I have 50,000 views, I have 50,000 subscribers. Once you have a niche and you keep going with that niche consistently, then you'll be good. Do you have a question? Yeah. Niche and USP, I'd put them in the same bracket. So you figure out what makes you different, and brands will approach you. You don't even need to worry about having a huge following. Just keep doing you, whatever that passion is, and brands will find you. So the next question I have here is, I want to start a podcast. What are some practical steps to get started and also be successful? So for those of you who don't know, the Pennies To Pounds podcast has been live for just over 3 months now. It's doing really well. It's had 30,000 listens, so it's done really, really well in 3 months. But I'm still fumbling. I'm still figuring out my way. So I'll give you some of my tips. May not be amazing, but this is what I've learned along the way. You need to be consistent. And it sounds silly, but I know people who have podcasts and have YouTube, have whatever it is they do, and aren't consistent. From the moment I started to now, I have not missed a single week. And it's been hard. There have been times where I've been busy, but I have not missed a single week. Why? Because I know that there are people who subscribe to me, who listen to me, who are waiting for it to come out. So much so that I have people, I upload my podcast on a Monday, and sometimes the time varies. I might upload it at midday, it might be at 5 p.m., but I have people who message me at midday and say, yeah, is there a podcast today? Is there an episode today? Because there's people who are loyal, who want to follow your journey throughout the podcast. So if you miss a week, and then you come back and you miss 2 weeks and you try and come back, you're too in, out, you will lose some of your loyal following. So number one is to be consistent. Number two is to create interesting content. So when I say that, it's not just, I'm going to talk about this. You need to figure out how you're going to make it interesting. So I'll tell you, my last episode was on Monday. It was to celebrate National Apprenticeship Week, which is this week. And I had a few guests on. They came in, we were talking about apprenticeships. And at the end of it, I held a game. They had no idea. I never tell anyone who comes on a podcast what's going to happen. But we had a game, and it ended up being really fun. And because it was so genuine and so fun, a lot of people who were listening back said that was a really good episode. So you need to be able to create content that people are able to engage with. Because if you were to listen to something and after 5 minutes you're bored, chances are everyone else who's going to listen to it is going to be bored as well. Number three is to try and invest in quality content and equipment, So that could be, if you want to do it at home, a lot of people want to create like studios at home, then you need to make sure you invest in microphones that have minimal feedback, whatever it is, that it is very, very professional. So I record in the studio. There's a lot of studios in London, there's tons. I think there's more like every week. People creating new podcast studios. But I record in the studio, and because of that, it gives you the quality of the sound. I can record from my phone, of course I can. If I didn't have the capital to be able to go to a studio, I'll do it from my phone. I've also tried with an Amazon mic. I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it from home. There was one time I didn't want to move. I said, I'm going to do Amazon Prime, get a mic here, and I'm going to do it at home. When I listened back, the quality wasn't what I wanted it to be. So I realized from there that I had to invest in quality equipment because people will return for that. So those are my main kind of key steps. And try and have a social media page for it. I've only had my Instagram page for Pennies To Pounds for about a month. And that was just because I wasn't sure if I needed one. I wanted to kind of figure out the podcast first and figure out, do I need a page for it? But now I've done that, I've realized that's a good way to, people want to be part of a community. And if you create a page, now people can follow that community and they can all interact, and that's always a good way. So whether it's Twitter, Instagram, both, try and build somewhere where you can create community for your people to come together and have discussions. You can have Insta stories, people can vote for the next episode, whatever it may be. people want to come together and feel like they're involved in whatever you're creating and doing. So those are kind of like my main tips with regards to starting a podcast. So here's another question. Someone asked, what other methods of budgeting outside of Excel spreadsheets can be used to stay on track of your financial goals? Currently, I use Monzo Pots features and roundups my spending using Moneybox into my ISA accounts. So with regards to budgeting, there are tons of apps which you can use. There's an app called Emma. Emma's really good. It shows you everything you've last spent on. So I remember when I first downloaded Emma and I linked in my account, it showed me the last 30 days of transactions, and I didn't realize how much I ate out. It showed me everything, all listed out, and how much it was and how much money I spent there, and it put it in like a red circle when I saw how much red I was in, and I said, oh my gosh, I can't do that anymore. But Emma is a great way of keeping track. It gives you daily notifications to let you know. You can set a budget, so I might say, you know what, this month I want to spend £150. That's what I want to spend. Yeah, I've done put my savings away, I've done everything, paid my bills, but spending-wise, I want to spend £150. It will tell me every day how on track I am, how much I spent on this. It will tell me, oh, you know, yesterday, Key, you spent £50 on takeaway. And I'll be like, wow, I didn't know that. But it helps me stay on track and gives you daily notifications. There's another app called Yolt. Yolt is really good, does a similar thing to Emma, helps you stay on track. It also shows you any kind of bills that are coming out, how much the bills are, if the bill has changed for any reason, if it's gone up or down, if you can get it cheaper elsewhere, it'll show you that as well. So if you're into apps like me, which I really am, that's a really, really good way of budgeting, I'd say. And I'm very old school. I like pen and paper. I like to write down everything and keep track and have my budget that way. Spreadsheets, they're all right, but I know pen and paper I can have on me, or even my notes page on my phone. I have everything written down, so I know how much I can roughly spend. I also like to separate out my money. So I mentioned before that I separate out my savings. But with regards to spending, I'll put my spending money into one account, and I only spend from that account. So when that money runs out, that's me done for the month. So if I run out on the 10th day of the month, and I get paid on the last day of the month, that's it. I've gone over my budget. But it's a good way for me to stay on track because I can't dip in further than I want to. If I only put £150 in that account, £200 in that account, then I can't spend £300 because there's not £300 in there. So those are some really good ways to budget yourself as well. Another question, I've got one here, which says, we touched on it before, but I'll read it out anyway. How do you find out ways to proceed or even start with your side hustle or job? What abilities do you have to acquire to conserve your business and ensure that it runs smoothly? How do you start a business with limited finance, i.e. if you're unemployed or just have limited funds? So this is a lot of questions in one. Obviously, I mentioned earlier about finding a side hustle, list out what you're good at, figure out what you're better at the most and how you can monetize it. With regards to abilities, so I think what I've noticed a lot of the time is everyone wants to start a business. Everyone wants to start a business, but no one wants to figure out the skills behind the business. And if you're on Twitter, you've probably seen a few times where, especially hair companies, people come on and say, don't use this hair company, this person scammed me, blah, blah, blah. And then when you end up reading it, you see that whoever the business owner was didn't handle it properly. They got rude to that customer or they blocked them or whatever. So a lot of people forget that customer service is a huge part of any kind of business. If a customer comes to you and says, my product is faulty, and this is what you gave to me, going back to them and saying, no, it's not, I always create quality products, isn't the way to handle your business. You need to go to them and say, okay, it's faulty, how can I help? Can I see the product? Can you send it back to me? I'll see if I can replace it. If not, I'll refund you. But a lot of people forget about that side. A lot of people get consumed about the money element. I think I'm making a lot of money, that's all I care about, and don't cater to the customer service side. So I definitely encourage you, if you want to start a business, and that's where your passion lies, having customer service skills is really important. If you think, yeah, I've got that, but you're not too sure, there are courses online, and it sounds really silly to have customer service courses, but there are courses online which can help you build out your customer service skills, build out your people skills, because not everyone's a people person, which is fine, but you have to become one if you want to be a business owner, because there will be people who come back to you who are rude, and the last thing you want is someone blurting out on social media saying you're terrible, you're this, you're that, you're trash on whatever kind of review page. So that is really, really important. Another important thing is to be able to manage your finances. So a lot of people start businesses and don't get a business account. So business accounts are really important, especially if you need to start tracking your finances for tax purposes. If you have all your money for your business coming into your personal account, and you have your wages coming to your personal account and everything coming into one, it's hard to separate. So was this payment for my business or was it me? It's hard to separate that out because when it comes to tax purposes, the tax man's going to ask, so how much did you make this year? And you need to be able to separate it out. And if you have it in a business account, it's a lot easier to see, this is how much I made. And this is how much I paid myself, if that's what you do. If you're self-employed and you pay yourself, this is how much I paid myself, this is how much expenses were, because it's all in a separate account, separate to your current account. So I definitely encourage you to do that and be able to separate your finances out that way if that is what you want to do. And a lot of business accounts are free. So I think TATE have a basic one, which is free. Starling bank account have a free one. There are a few more out there which are free. Some of them are paid because they have different services that they can offer you. But if you want to just kind of get started, definitely sign up for TATE or Starling business account. They don't ask for much. They kind of just want a few details from you. They'll send it out to you, and you can kind of go from there and get started that way. So those are some of the key questions that I picked up from there. Does anyone in the room have any kind of questions about anything finance related? Absolutely anything. Go on.
Okay, I'm going to weave my way through the massive people.
Hello, my name's Elvis.
Hi, Elvis.
I'm an aspiring content creator on YouTube and Instagram, and my question is, what would you say is the most effective way to market yourself?
Ooh. In terms of what? Like social media or what?
Anything, like what would be the best way to like market myself on any like platform, like social media or anything like that, pretty much?
So I can only talk from my personal experience, from what I've done. So to give a bit of context, obviously I give financial guidance on social media. I've been doing it probably for about 4 months now. So when I first started and my first thread blew up, I was on 1,000 followers. Now I'm on 18.5 followers, 18.5K, 18.5? Yeah, that's what I'm on now. It's only been 4 months, but what I've realized is that people want to follow a journey. So people don't want to see the finished product. People want to follow your journey. So along the way, they want to see where you began. They want to know about you. So I realized from the beginning I was very closed off because I didn't want people to know who I was or what I did, or where I even studied at uni. I didn't want people to know anything. But then I realized that the more I open up, the more people can relate to me. So now if I say I study French and business, or people who message me say, oh my gosh, how's French going? I do French. And now if I say, you know what, in first year I got myself into some debt as well, but I got out of it, you can now open up those conversations. People want to see you grow. Because I'm sure whoever your favorite person is, favorite celebrity, favorite influencer, you probably watched them grow. Wherever it is, some people who started off single 2 years ago, and now they've got a boyfriend, now they're engaged. You love to follow the journey. So you need to make sure that you create that journey for your followers, and then people are more likely to stick along because they feel like they know you a lot better. So that's the advice I give to you with regards to marketing.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Hi.
Hi.
I have a question about sticking to budgets because I do accounting as a living, and I can always justify my spends.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, so you didn't spend this much on travel, so you can spend this much on food. How do you make sure you actually stay disciplined in your budget that you set? Do you adjust it, or do you like literally set your budget and stick to it?
For me, unless something has come up and I really need to adjust my budget to increase it, I will stick to that amount. So I'll say, for travel, I might have worked out travel for the month for how, when I go to work or whatever. I worked out how much I need for the month, including petrol, because I drive as well, and I stick to that. Unless something happens and also I need to drive all the way back to uni, because I go uni commentary, and that's 2.5 hour drive, and now I need more money for petrol, then that's maybe when I adjust it. But other than that, I stick to it. There is an app called Hypejar, Hype jar, which is really good. You're able to basically split up your money into different jars. So you get one card, and you can pick what jar you spend from. So you can have one for bills, and one for spending, and one for travel. But you're able to then pick what jar you spend from when you go and spend. So if that's a good way to keep yourself on budget. Because if you say, right, I'm only spending £100 on food, put £100 in that jar. If I'm only spending £50 on travel, let's say, when that runs out, there is no adjustment because that's all the money you put in the jar. So it's just more about being disciplined. It's hard because I'd be like, I'm going to spend £50 on eating out, and all of a sudden I transfer £100 back in to then increase it to 150 because my friend asked me to go to pianos, and this one said let's go to TGI's because I want to go to everything. But it's about being disciplined because then you're able to save more money at the end of it, and you'll thank yourself more when you see the current account, no, savings account, is a lot bigger than your current account. Any other questions? Ooh. That's a good question. Yeah, I'd say that I save the most money when it comes to food. So obviously being at university taught me I have to be very frugal with my money. So my weekly shop didn't cost me more than £10. I would make it work. If it didn't fit in the £10, I'm not getting it. We'll wait till next week. So I find that saving on food helps me put more money away, because to give you some more context, in second year, I obviously got my student loan, but I worked part-time, but I didn't get a lot of money each month. But I said that my student loan was going to all go to savings, and I'd just spend my wages. My wages were quite small. I only worked 8 hours a week, but that's what I was spending for everything. So if I travelled back to London, so I used to work in London, and I went to Uni Coventry, everything was working with my wages. So I made sure that, okay, what I used to do is do one big shop, so like frozen food, for example, at university. So I spend £40 on frozen food right when I start, and after that, all the rest of my shopping could be £10, because fresh food is not that much. So I switched from shopping at Sainsbury's, because when I was at home, when my dad had money, now it's my money, I'm going to Aldi, because I haven't got that kind of money. But making that switch helped me to save up money, and that's obviously, again, that's when I was going on my 5 holidays that year. Me saving on food helped me to put money aside to then go on these holidays and have spending money and have a good time. So I think food is probably the easiest place to save money, I'd say.
Any other questions?
Hello again. How can I justify using my savings to buy something? So
It depends on what it is.
Does it just depend on what it is?
I mean, it depends on what it is. So for me, I have my savings. And if I'm trying to justify buying a dress, I can't justify it. But if I'm trying to justify buying a course, which will then increase my skills, which I can then increase whatever I'm selling or whatever service I'm providing, then I can justify it. It depends on the return that you want to get from that investment. And if a dress is bringing me no return, other than I feel good and I got an Instagram post from it, then that's not good enough return for me. So anything that I take from my savings has to be justifiable, in my opinion. So I need to make some sort of return from it. So maybe it's self-investment, and I won't see the return until like a year's time, because that's when I complete the course and I get the qualification, but I don't know the return is coming. Buying new trainers, which I'll wear out in 6 months, I don't feel any kind of return from that. So I feel like it all depends on how you can justify it in your head. But that's how I justify it for myself.
We'll do 1, 2, 3. Or has anyone else got any other? We'll do 3, yeah.
So you say you're a bit lazy sometimes, but you do quite a lot of stuff. Do you sometimes tend to like procrastinate a lot, and I don't know, it happens to me. Do you have any tips for us or for me to help with that, the laziness sometimes, and actually getting things fully done? Because sometimes I can get sidetracked, and I think that happens to a lot of people.
Yeah, I am the queen of getting sidetracked. From 9 to 10, Love Island's on, don't try and message me. There's no emails being responded to then. I can finish a series in a day, but then I have to pull back and say, right, so whatever I didn't do this day, it still gets carried on, because the next day it still has to get done. No one else is going to do it for me. So it's literally just sitting down and thinking, what is this going to do for me? So if it's, for example, if it's replying to emails, for me, that's my pet peeve, and I'll keep talking about it. I can't stand it. But if it's replying to emails, and I know that once I reply to emails, maybe this opportunity might come, or this person will come on my podcast, then I'll know, right, okay, I need to do this. And then once I do it, I can treat myself after that. So I can sit down and reply to emails for an hour, and as much as I hate it, after that, I can go and watch half an hour of my show. So it's all about rewarding yourself, because people who are strict on themselves, you're going to end up hating whatever you need to do. So you need to be able to reward yourself and say, look, let me work for an hour, and then I'll do half an hour doing whatever I like to do. If I want to go for a walk, I want to be in the garden, if I want to watch something, listen to my favorite music, whatever it is, reward yourself, so then when you come back, it doesn't feel so much as a chore, because you know, okay, I'm going to do this now, but in half an hour's time, I'm going to go cook my favorite food. I'm going to eat that, and I'm going to come back and carry on what I'm doing, and then watch my favorite show. That's how I do it. I do intermittent working, because it's either I do everything or I do nothing. So I need to make it work. Because if I do nothing 3 days in a row, and I can't be doing that. So that's how I do. I try and reward myself with stuff I like to do to be able to push myself to keep working.
Where were the other 2 questions? 1, 2. Okay, I'm going to scavenge my way over. Put your hand.
Hi. When you're investing in things, whether it's business or like housing that you need to live for your business, do they take it into account the amount of money that has been loaned into your bank? So, like student loans, like say you've got however many grand in there's from student loans, do they take it into consideration that that's actually a loan, or do they view it more that you actually own the money? Like, how does that work?
Are you talking with regard to the bank, if you wanted to take out like a loan, or?
No, if you wanted to like invest that money into something else, spending that loan from like your student loans or loans that you've like racked up, like making a big investment into something else, like a deposit for something, would they take it into account that that money is actually being loaned to you?
No, that money is your money. Once it's in your account, they're not looking to see where it came from. If I have student loan and I have 2K left over and I want to invest in something, that isn't 2K from student loan. I have £2,000. So you don't have to worry about them saying, oh, well, it's not actually your money, so you can't actually use it to invest. That is your money. You can do with it whatever you want. If you want to go spend 2K on food, that's absolutely fine. If you want to spend 2K on shares, do whatever you want. No one's going to ask you where the money came from. If it was a loan, whatever it is, that's your money. It's in your account. End of. You can do what you want with it.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What would be your advice to a startup business who wants to gain followers quickly?
Ooh. On what platform?
Instagram.
Create engaging content pieces. Because if you're just posting the same old things like, oh, here's a picture of, I don't know what your business is, but if it's just like, here's a picture of our dress and there's nothing really to it, people on Instagram want visuals. So the reason why people follow influencers is because influencers make interesting content. Wherever the pictures is, like, it's them, but it's in a really nice place. So that's why I follow them, because I want to see their nice pictures. So if you're a business, you need to create aesthetically pleasing pieces. So if you use me, for example, I don't have anything, I don't sell anything. Yeah, my podcast, I don't sell anything. So I create content pieces which gives you information, but in an interesting way. Because I always think, I need to create something that I want people to put in their stories, and that it will look nice in their stories. If no one can repost it, then I haven't done my job correctly. So if I create a piece about saving, then it needs to look nice enough for people to be like, oh, that's cool. Story. That way people can engage with it, and that's how you get followers. If your content is just bland or boring, then people don't want to engage with it. And Instagram is the hardest place to kind of pierce and get followers, but once you master it, it's a breeze. And I'm not saying I mastered it, but what I've realized is content creation is really, really key, and it needs to be really, really nice and look really aesthetically pleasing for Instagram, whatever your business is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I think that's all the time we have for questions. Can we give a massive round of applause to Kia, please?
Thank you.
I hope that's helped demystify some of the financial myths that I definitely had. We'll be keeping this open for another 10-15 minutes if you guys want to finish off anything. But once again, thank you guys so much for coming. And we're also going to be launching an app very soon. So if you want to find out more about that, make sure that you follow us at Eric Festival on Instagram. Yes, it's a plug that we're doing shamelessly. And also, obviously, follow Kia Pennies to Pounds Podcast and IKEA. Is that your?
Yes.
See?
You got me.
All your socials. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming, and have a great rest of your Friday.